The road was quiet, scorched by the afternoon sun when a woman bent under the weight of firewood took one more trembling step forward. Dust clung to her skin. Two little girls followed behind her, their small feet bare, their eyes too old for their age. Then a black luxury car stopped. The engine went silent. Inside the car, a powerful man froze his breath, caught his hands shaking as his eyes locked onto the woman he never expected to see again, and the twin girls who looked exactly like him. Time stood still, and in that single heartbeat, a buried past began to scream. Before the story begins, tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. And if you believe stories can change hearts, don't forget to subscribe. Nana Agyeman had not returned to his hometown in nearly 10 years. As the black luxury SUV rolled smoothly along the wide highway toward the countryside, Nana sat in the back seat, his posture straight, his expression calm and unreadable. Outside the tinted window, the city of Accra slowly faded behind them, glass towers, billboards, and traffic giving way to open land, red soil, and scattered villages. This land had once been his whole world. Then he had conquered another one. At 40 years old, Nana Agyeman was one of the most powerful businessmen in West Africa. His logistics and energy companies operated across borders, moving oil, gas, and goods between ports and landlocked regions. His name carried weight in boardrooms, ministries, and international conferences. Men stood when he entered a room, deals bent around his will. He had built everything from nothing. That was the story he liked to tell. Beside him in the car sat Vanessa Brown, his fiancée. She was elegant, her legs crossed perfectly, her designer sunglasses resting lightly on her nose. Her skin glowed untouched by dust or hardship, and her fingers scrolled lazily through her phone as if the world outside did not concern her. "So this is where you grew up?" Vanessa asked, her tone curious, but distant, as though she were looking at a museum exhibit rather than a living place. "Yes," Nana replied simply. She glanced out the window, noticing the modest houses, the women carrying loads on their heads, the children playing barefoot by the roadside. A faint smile tugged at her lips, not admiration, but disbelief. "It's very rural," she said. Nana did not answer. Inside him, something shifted. Not pain exactly, more like a tightness he had learned to ignore. He had decided to bring Vanessa home for one reason: closure. He wanted his family elders to see the woman he intended to marry. He wanted to prove to them and to himself that he had moved on completely from the life he once lived, from the woman he once loved, and from the poverty that had almost broken him. Alice was part of that past. And in Nana's mind, that chapter was closed. Years ago, he had left this land with anger burning in his chest and ambition fueling his steps. He remembered the humiliation of being poor, of being the man who could not provide, of relying on others for survival. He remembered the shame that followed him like a shadow. He had sworn never to feel small again. The car slowed as they approached the village entrance. Nana's driver, a quiet man who had worked for him for years, glanced at him through the rearview mirror. "Sir, should I take the longer road or pass through the village center?" the driver asked. "The village center," Nana said without hesitation. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure?" Yes. He did not know why he wanted to pass through the heart of the village. Perhaps it was pride, perhaps curiosity, or perhaps a part of him wanted to look his past in the face one last time and confirm that he had truly risen above it. As the car moved forward, heads began to turn. People noticed the vehicle immediately. A black SUV like that did not belong here. Children stopped playing. Women paused mid-conversation. Men straightened their backs and followed the car with cautious eyes. Whispers spread quickly. "That car! Who is that? Could it be Nana Mensah's son? No, Nana Agyeman." Nana felt it, the recognition, the awe, the quiet respect. It fed his ego even as it stirred something uneasy deep inside him. Vanessa leaned closer to the window, now suddenly more interested. "They seem to know you." "They remember," Nana said. "Must feel good," she replied with a small laugh. "Coming back like this." Nana said nothing, but her words echoed in his mind. Yes, it did feel good. He remembered leaving this village as a young man with nothing but a battered suitcase and a burning desire to escape. He remembered promising himself that if he ever returned, it would be as someone untouchable. And now he had. What he did not expect, what he could not have imagined, was that this return would shake the very foundation of the life he had built. The car passed the old market square. Nana glanced out briefly, recognizing the place where he used to stand for hours, hoping someone would buy the few goods he tried to sell. He looked away quickly. That man no longer existed, or so he believed. Vanessa adjusted her seat. "You never told me much about your ex-wife," she said casually, as if discussing an old business partner. Nana's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "There's nothing to tell," he replied. "It's in the past." She smiled faintly. "Still, it must have been something. You don't go from nothing to this without scars." Nana exhaled slowly. She made her choices. I made mine. What he did not say was how deeply those choices had once hurt him, how betrayal, real or imagined, had hardened his heart, how walking away had felt like the only way to survive. In his version of the story, Alice had been unfaithful, disloyal, a woman who did not believe in his dreams when he needed her most. In that version, leaving her had been justified. Vanessa nodded, satisfied. "Well, I'm glad you moved on," she said, slipping her hand into his. "You deserve better now." Nana squeezed her hand lightly, but his gaze drifted back to the road. The village narrowed ahead. The car slowed further as pedestrians crossed freely, unbothered by traffic laws. The smell of firewood and cooked cassava filled the air. Then it happened. Just ahead on the side of the road, Nana saw a familiar silhouette. A woman, bent forward under the weight of a heavy bundle of firewood strapped across her back. Her clothes were faded, her steps slow but steady, and behind her, two little girls. They walked close together, mirroring each other's movements, their thin arms swinging in rhythm. Their heads were slightly bowed, their faces serious, in a way that made Nana's chest tighten without warning. Something about them struck him instantly. The car slowed to a stop. The driver tapped the brakes, confused by Nana's sudden sharp inhale. Vanessa asked, "Why did we stop?" But Nana could not answer. His eyes were locked on the woman, now lifting her head, sensing the presence of the car. And in that moment, before recognition fully formed, before memory turned into pain, something ancient and uncontrollable stirred within him. The past he believed was buried had just stepped into the road. Alice Agyeman woke before the sun every day. Not because she wanted to, but because the day demanded it. Long before the village stirred to life, she rose from the thin mat on the floor, her back already aching from yesterday's work. The small room she shared with her daughters was quiet, except for the soft rhythm of their breathing. In the dim light, Alice sat still for a moment, watching Leila and Mariam sleep, their bodies curled close together, like they were afraid the world might pull them apart if they drifted too far. She reached out and gently brushed a hand over their hair. "Just a little longer," she whispered, even though they could not hear her. Outside, the rooster crowed. Morning had arrived. Alice stood, tied her faded scarf around her head, and stepped outside. The air was cool, but she knew the heat would come soon, heavy and unforgiving. She washed her face at the basin, changed into the same worn dress she had patched too many times to count, and prepared for another day of survival. This was her life now. She didn't complain about it. Complaining didn't put food on the table. After waking the girls, Alice handed them each a small piece of cassava left from the night before. They ate quietly, used to scarcity. Neither asked for more. That, more than anything, broke Alice's heart. Leila finished first and looked up at her mother. "Mama, are we going with you today?" Alice hesitated. She hated taking them with her when she went to collect firewood. The journey was long, the loads heavy and the road unforgiving, but leaving them alone was not an option. There was no one else. "Yes," Alice said softly. "We'll go together." Mariam smiled faintly, already reaching for her small sandals. Leila stood and helped her sister the way she always did, quiet, protective, serious beyond her years. As they walked toward the forest edge later that morning, Alice's thoughts drifted backward to a time she rarely allowed herself to revisit. There had been a time when she did not wake to hunger, when her hands were not cracked and scarred, when laughter came easily. There had been a time when she was someone's wife. Nana. Even now, the name felt dangerous in her mind, like touching a wound that had never healed properly. She remembered him as he was before ambition hardened him, before pride and fear built walls between them. He had been brilliant, restless, full of dreams that seemed too big for the small village that surrounded them. Alice had believed in him completely. She had sold what little she had taken. Small jobs endured, gossip and judgment, all so Nana could chase the future he spoke of so passionately. And then one day, everything collapsed. She remembered the accusations, the shouting, the look in his eyes when he decided she was no longer worth listening to, the way he had turned his back on her when she needed him most. Alice pressed her lips together, steadying herself as they reached the forest. She never told her daughters about their father, not because she wanted to erase him, but because she refused to poison their hearts with bitterness. When they asked, rarely cautiously, she simply said, "Your father is not with us." It was the truth. She bent down and gathered fallen branches, tying them together with practiced hands. Leila and Mariam helped as much as they could, picking up smaller sticks, their faces focused and determined. Mama Mariam said quietly, "Why don't other children carry wood like this?" Alice paused. "Because everyone has different paths," she replied. "This is ours." Leila frowned. "Will we always have to do this?" Alice met her daughter's eyes and smiled, though her chest tightened. "No," she said firmly. "You will go to school. You will learn. Your hands will not always be tired like mine." Leila nodded, trusting her mother completely. By midday, the bundle was ready. Alice strapped it across her back, feeling the familiar burn as the weight settled. She straightened slowly, ignoring the pain, and began the walk back toward the village road. Leila and Mariam followed close behind, their steps in sync. As they walked, villagers passed them, some with pity, others with quiet respect. Alice acknowledged them all with the same calm nod. She had learned that dignity did not come from what you owned, but from how you carried yourself when you had nothing. She did not see the black luxury SUV until it was already slowing down beside her. The sound of the engine was different from the motorbikes and trucks that usually passed through. It was smoother, heavier, out of place. Alice's heart skipped, not from recognition but from instinct. Something about the moment felt wrong. She slowed her steps. Leila noticed first. "Mama," she whispered. "The car." Alice lifted her head, and then she saw him. At first, her mind refused to accept what her eyes were telling her. The man stepping out of the car was tall, well-dressed, his presence commanding attention without effort. The lines of his face were sharper now, older but unmistakable. The world tilted. Her fingers tightened around the rope, holding the firewood knuckles turning white. Her breath caught in her throat, and for a brief, terrifying second, Alice felt 19 again. Young, hopeful, standing in front of a man who once promised her everything. Nana Agyeman. Time did not simply stop. It crashed. Alice stood frozen, the weight on her back suddenly unbearable. Her mind raced through memories she had locked away for years. The nights she cried herself to sleep, the days she wondered if she would survive. The moment she realized she was carrying twins with no one to share the news with. Behind Nana, she noticed the woman stepping out of the car. Elegant, confident, beautiful in a way Alice no longer had the energy to be. So this was her. Alice lowered her gaze instinctively, shame rising like bile in her throat. She adjusted the strap on her shoulders, as if pretending this was just another day, another stranger passing by. But she felt Nana's eyes on her. She felt them on the girls. Leila shifted closer to her mother, sensing the tension. Mariam did the same, their small hands gripping the edges of Alice's dress. Alice swallowed hard. She had imagined this moment once long ago when she was younger and still foolish enough to hope. In that version, Nana returned full of regret, ready to take responsibility, ready to fix what he had broken. But reality was colder. Now he stood before her, rich and powerful, while she stood carrying firewood with dust on her skin and poverty written all over her life. And still, Alice felt something dangerous stir inside her chest. Not love, not anger, but fear. Fear of what this encounter might awaken, fear of what it might cost her daughters, fear that the fragile life she had built through sheer willpower was about to be torn apart by a man who once walked away without looking back. She raised her head slowly. Their eyes met. And in that moment, Alice knew whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same again. For a long moment, no one spoke. The village road, usually alive with chatter and movement, seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind felt still, as if it too was waiting to see what would happen between the man in polished shoes and the woman bent beneath firewood. Nana Agyeman stood where he was, one hand still resting on the open car door. He had stepped out without thinking, driven by a force he did not recognize. Now that he was face to face with Alice, his confidence, the kind that commanded boardrooms and ministers, began to crumble. She looked thinner than he remembered. Her face, once soft and full, now carried the quiet marks of endurance. Lines framed her eyes not from age, but from years of squinting against the sun and holding back tears. Her dress was faded, patched at the elbows and hem, the scarf around her head was worn thin, and yet she was unmistakably Alice, the woman he had loved, the woman he had cast aside. Nana opened his mouth, then closed it again. His throat felt tight as if words were trapped behind an invisible wall. Alice said nothing. She did not greet him. She did not accuse him. She simply stood there, steadying her breathing, bracing herself for whatever humiliation might come next. Behind her, Leila and Mariam stared openly at the stranger. They had never seen a man dressed like this so close before. His watch glinted in the sunlight. His shoes were spotless. Everything about him seemed unreal. Leila tugged gently at Alice's dress. "Mama." She whispered, her voice barely audible. "Who is he?" Alice flinched. Nana heard the question, and it struck him like a blow to the chest. His eyes dropped to the girls, really looked at them this time. They were identical, not just in the way twins often were, but in a way that made his pulse race. The shape of their eyes, the slight tilt of their noses, even the serious, observant way they studied him. He had seen that look before, in the mirror. His knees felt weak. Vanessa cleared her throat and stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the dirt road. She had been watching the scene with growing irritation, arms folded, lips pressed into a thin line. "Well?" she said coolly, breaking the silence. "Are we stopping here for long?" Alice's gaze flicked toward her for the first time. Vanessa's eyes swept over Alice from head to toe, taking in the firewood, the dust, the children clinging to her sides. Her expression shifted not to sympathy, but to something close to disdain. So Vanessa continued, her voice loud enough for the surrounding villagers to hear. "This is the woman." Nana turned sharply. "Vanessa." She raised a hand. "You never told me she'd still be here." Alice felt the sting of the words, even though she pretended not to. She tightened her grip on the rope across her shoulders and straightened her back. Pride was sometimes the only shield left to the poor. "I'm sorry," Alice said quietly, not looking at Vanessa but at Nana. "If we're blocking the road, we'll move." She shifted her weight, preparing to step aside. "No," Nana said quickly, the word coming out louder than he intended. "Wait." Alice froze. He took a step closer, then another, stopping at a careful distance, as if afraid she might vanish if he came too near. "Alice," he said, her name heavy on his tongue. She met his eyes again, her expression guarded. "Nana." Hearing his name spoken in her voice stirred something deep and painful within him. Memories flooded back. Late nights, shared dreams, whispered promises under a leaking roof. Vanessa let out a short, humorless laugh. "This is unbelievable," she muttered. "We drive all this way and suddenly we're in the middle of some village drama." She looked directly at Alice now. "You could have at least cleaned up. Don't you have any pride?" Leila's eyes widened. Mariam's fingers dug into her mother's dress. Alice said nothing. Nana felt heat rush to his face. "That's enough," he said sharply. Vanessa stared at him in surprise. "Excuse me, I said enough," Nana repeated, his voice low but firm. The villagers nearby pretended not to listen, but every one of them was watching closely now. Vanessa scoffed. "I'm just being honest. Look at her, Nana. Look at this situation. Is this really someone you want us stopping for?" Nana did look, but not the way Vanessa expected. He looked at Alice's hands, calloused, scarred. He looked at the rope cutting into her shoulders. He looked at the way the girls stood protectively in front of her, their small bodies tense. And suddenly, a truth he had long buried began to surface. "This is my home," Nana said quietly. Vanessa blinked. "What? This village, these people," he said. "This is where I come from." She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it again, clearly displeased. Alice shifted uncomfortably. She did not want to be the reason for conflict. She wanted this moment to pass, wanted Nana to get back into his car and disappear from her life once more. "If there's nothing else," she said softly, "we should go." She took a step forward, but Nana moved instinctively, blocking her path. "Wait," he said again, his voice cracking this time. "Please." Alice stopped, her patience thinning. "Why?" she asked, finally letting a hint of bitterness slip through. "What do you want from me now, Nana?" The question hung between them, raw and unprotected. Nana searched for an answer and found none that could undo the damage he had caused. "I don't know," he admitted. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "Nana, we're leaving." She turned toward the car. Before Nana could respond, Mariam suddenly spoke. "Why are you shouting at my mama?" she asked, her small voice trembling but brave. Everyone froze. Vanessa turned slowly, clearly unaccustomed to being addressed like this. especially by a child. "And who are you supposed to be?" she asked coldly. "I'm Mariam," the girl replied, lifting her chin. "And this is my sister Leila." Leila squeezed her sister's hand and stared straight at Nana. "And you?" Leila said quietly. "Why are you staring at us like that?" Nana's breath left him in a rush. He crouched slightly, bringing himself closer to their level, though his legs trembled. I'm sorry," he said, the words sounding strange even to himself. Alice watched him carefully, her heart pounding. She had spent years preparing herself for rejection, for humiliation, but not for this confusion, not for this look on Nana's face as if the ground beneath him had given way. A voice called out from the side of the road. "Alice." She turned to see Mam Efua approaching her walking stick, tapping against the dirt. The old woman stopped short when she noticed Nana. Her eyes widened. So Mam Efua said slowly, "You finally came back." Nana straightened his gaze, shifting to the elder woman. He recognized her instantly. The weight of the past pressed down on him harder than ever before. This was no longer a simple encounter. It was a reckoning. The air thickened the moment Mam Efua appeared. Her presence carried weight in the village, not because she was loud or powerful, but because she had seen too much to be easily fooled. She leaned slightly on her walking stick, her sharp eyes moving from Nana to Alice, then to the two little girls pressed against their mother's sides. Vanessa noticed the shift immediately. "Who is that?" she asked Nana under her breath, irritation creeping into her voice. "A village elder," Nana replied quietly. Mam Efua did not greet him. She did not smile. She simply looked at him for a long moment, as if measuring the years that had passed and the damage they had left behind. "So you've come back," she said at last, "with all your cars and fine clothes." Nana nodded, unable to find words that didn't sound hollow. "Ma'am Efua," she turned her gaze to Alice. "My child." Alice inclined her head respectfully. "Mom?" Vanessa let out a sharp breath. "Is everyone here planning to stare all day?" she said loudly. "Some of us have places to be." The old woman's eyes snapped to Vanessa. They were calm but piercing. "And who are you?" Mam Efua asked. Vanessa lifted her chin. "I'm Nana's fiancée." A murmur rippled through the villagers, who had begun to gather at a cautious distance. The word fiancée carried weight. It explained the tension. It sharpened the contrast. Mam Efua studied Vanessa slowly, from her polished shoes to her manicured nails. "I see," she said. "Then you should know better than to speak without respect on another person's land." Vanessa scoffed. "Respect for what?" Carrying firewood, living like this, Alice felt the words like stones. She had endured whispers before, mockery, pity, but hearing it spoken so openly, so cruelly, made her chest ache. Still, she remained silent, her face composed, her eyes lowered. Leila did not. "Stop," the little girl said suddenly. Everyone turned. Vanessa blinked in disbelief. "What did you say?" Leila stepped forward, placing herself fully in front of her mother. Her small shoulders were squared, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "Stop talking like that," Leila repeated. "My mama works hard." Mariam joined her, her voice softer but no less firm. "She's not doing anything wrong." Vanessa stared at them as if they were insects that had dared to speak. "Children," she said coldly, "this conversation doesn't concern you. It concerns us." Leila shot back. "You're shouting at our mama." A sharp intake of breath passed through the crowd. Nana felt something twist violently in his chest. He had spent years in rooms filled with powerful men negotiating deals worth millions, facing threats and manipulation without flinching. But this small girl defending her mother with nothing but courage unraveled him. "Leila," Alice said gently, reaching for her daughter's shoulder. "It's okay." But Leila didn't move. She didn't look back. Nana stepped forward instinctively. "Vanessa," he said, his voice tight. "That's enough." Vanessa turned to him sharply. "Are you serious right now? You're letting children talk to me like this. They're protecting their mother," Nana replied. "And you're disrespecting her." Vanessa laughed, a short, incredulous sound. "So now you're taking their side. I'm asking you to stop," Nana said. For the first time since they met, Vanessa saw something in Nana's eyes that unsettled her. Not anger. Something deeper. Something dangerous. She folded her arms. "Fine," she said stiffly. "If this woman means so much to you, maybe you should explain why she's still living like this." Alice flinched despite herself. Nana's gaze shifted to her again, lingering on the firewood, the thinness of her frame, the exhaustion she tried so hard to hide. He opened his mouth, then closed it, because he had no answer that wouldn't condemn him. Mayame Afua clicked her tongue softly. Some lives are not shaped by laziness, she said. They are shaped by abandonment. The word landed heavily. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Is that supposed to be an accusation? It is a fact. Mame Afua replied. This woman did not choose this life. Alice felt her throat tighten. Mommy, please, she said quietly. It's all right. No, the old woman said firmly. It is not. She turned back to Nana. You left her, Mame Afua said. You left her when she needed you most. Vanessa stiffened. Nana told me everything. She betrayed him. A collective gasp spread through the villagers. Alice closed her eyes. She had known this moment would come one day. The lie, spoken aloud, sharpened and thrown at her like a blade. She opened her eyes slowly and looked at Nana, not with anger, but with a quiet, weary sadness. Is that what you still believe? She asked. Nana's mouth went dry. He hesitated. That's what I was told. Told by whom? Mame Afua demanded. The people who wanted you gone, the ones who benefited from tearing you apart. Vanessa raised her voice. This is ridiculous. We're not standing in the middle of a village road to listen to fairy tales. Then you should get back in your car. Mame Afua replied calmly. Vanessa turned to Nana. Are you really going to let this go on? Nana looked at Alice again. For years he had held on to his version of the past because it justified his success, because it made him the victim who rose above betrayal rather than the man who walked away from responsibility. But standing here seeing Alice like this, seeing the children, something inside him cracked. I don't know the full truth, he said quietly, but I know this. He gestured toward Alice and the girls. This doesn't look like betrayal. Vanessa's face flushed. So what? You feel guilty now? Is that it? Nana did not respond immediately. He crouched again this time, deliberately bringing himself eye level with Leila and Mariam. What are your names? He asked gently. Leila hesitated, then answered Leila. And you? He asked Mariam. Mariam, she said softly. Nana swallowed hard. Do you go to school? Leila shook her head. Mama says we will. Soon, soon. Nana echoed his voice thick. Vanessa threw her hands up. I cannot believe this, she said. Nana, you're embarrassing me. Nana stood slowly. No, he said. I'm embarrassing myself. He turned to Alice. I didn't know, he said. I swear I didn't know. Alice's hands trembled slightly under the weight of the firewood. Not knowing doesn't change what happened, she replied calmly. I learned how to survive without you. I can see that, Nana said, and I don't need saving. Alice added, her voice firm now. All I ask is that you don't make my life harder than it already is. Her words cut deeper than any accusation. Vanessa stepped back toward the car. I'm done, she said sharply. If you're choosing this, chaos, then don't expect me to stand here and applaud. She opened the car door. Nana did not stop her. Instead, he turned to Alice once more. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. I don't even know what I'm here to do yet, but I won't walk away again. Alice studied him for a long moment, searching his face for truth. We'll see, she said simply. She adjusted the strap across her shoulders and began to walk. Leila and Mariam followed close behind her. Nana watched them go, his heart pounding, the weight of years pressing down on him like never before. Behind him, the car door slammed shut. Ahead of him, the past walked away slowly, steadily carrying firewood and two fragile lives he could no longer ignore. That night, Nana Agyeman did not sleep. The guest room prepared for him at the family house was large, well-lit, and carefully cleaned, yet it felt unbearably small. He lay on the bed fully dressed, staring at the ceiling, his mind replaying the scene on the village road again and again, Alice's eyes, the weight on her back, the way Leila and Mariam stood like shields in front of her. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the girls. They were too thin, too serious, too familiar. Nana rose from the bed and walked to the window. Outside, the village was quiet. Lantern lights flickered in the distance. Somewhere a child laughed softly before being hushed by an adult. Life continued indifferent to the storm raging inside him. He had returned home believing he had already won. Now he wasn't so sure. For years, Nana had told himself the same story whenever the past tried to surface. Alice had betrayed him. She had embarrassed him. She had broken his trust when he was at his most vulnerable. That story had been his armor. It allowed him to leave without guilt. It allowed him to build an empire without looking back. But armor once cracked cuts the wearer. He poured himself a glass of water and drank slowly, his hands trembling slightly. He had not noticed the tremor earlier. He noticed everything now. In his mind, the memories began to shift not as he had arranged them, but as they truly were. He remembered the nights Alice stayed awake with him listening as he spoke endlessly about business ideas no one else believed in. He remembered how she sold her earrings, the only inheritance from her mother, to pay for his application fees. He remembered how she defended him when others laughed. And then he remembered the day everything changed. The rumors had come suddenly, whispers from people he trusted. Someone had told him Alice was seeing another man. Someone else claimed she was planning to leave him once he succeeded. At the time, Nana had been drowning in frustration, rejected loans, failed ventures, mounting debts. Fear had made him cruel. He had confronted Alice without listening. He remembered her shock, her tears, her insistence that it was a lie. But he had been too proud, too angry, too desperate to protect what little dignity he thought he had left. So he walked away. Nana pressed his palm against the window glass, his reflection staring back at him, a powerful man with haunted eyes. A knock came at the door. He turned sharply. "Come in." Mr. Kwame Boateng stepped inside, closing the door quietly behind him. The older man had served Nana's family for decades. He moved with the calm assurance of someone who had seen many cycles of joy and regret. "I thought you might still be awake," Mr. Boateng said gently. Nana nodded. "I can't sleep." The older man studied him for a moment. "I saw you today." Nana sighed. "Then you saw everything?" "Yes," Mr. Boateng replied. "I did." They stood in silence for a moment before Nana spoke again. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" he asked, his voice low. "Why didn't anyone say she was suffering like this?" Mr. Boateng's eyes softened. "You left very angry, Nana. You didn't want to hear anything that didn't match what you already believed." The words stung because they were true. Nana clenched his jaw. "Those children," he said quietly. "How old are they?" 6, Mr. Boateng answered. "Almost 7. The room felt suddenly colder. Nana closed his eyes. The numbers lined up too perfectly to ignore. He had known it the moment he saw them. Denial had only delayed the pain. "I destroyed her life," Nana whispered. "No," Mr. Boateng said gently. "You abandoned it. There is a difference, but both carry consequences." Nana turned toward him, desperation creeping into his voice. Was she unfaithful? Mr. Boateng did not hesitate. "No." The certainty in his tone hit Nana harder than a shout. Then, why Nana stopped himself swallowing. "Why was I told otherwise?" "Because lies are convenient," Boateng replied, "and truth is often inconvenient to those who fear it." Nana sank into the chair beside the bed. His strength suddenly gone. His chest felt tight, his breathing shallow. "She was pregnant," he said hoarsely. "Wasn't she?" "Yes." Mr. Boateng confirmed. "She tried to tell you." Nana covered his face with his hands. The weight of it crushed him. Not just the realization that the girls were his, but that Alice had carried that burden alone, that she had faced hunger, labor, childbirth, and years of hardship without the man who should have stood beside her. "What kind of man does that?" Nana asked, his voice breaking. Mr. Boateng placed a hand on his shoulder. "The kind who still has time to choose who he will become next." The words lingered in the air long after the older man left the room. When Nana was alone again, he sat in silence for a long time. Then he stood. Before dawn, Nana left the house quietly. He told no one where he was going. He drove himself this time, refusing the driver, needing to be alone with his thoughts. The road back to Alice's side of the village felt longer than before. When he arrived, the sun was just beginning to rise. He parked the car at a distance and stepped out, watching from afar. Alice was already awake. He saw her emerge from the small house, her movements careful, practiced. Leila and Mariam followed soon after, rubbing sleep from their eyes. Nana watched as Alice spoke softly to them, handing them food, adjusting Mariam's dress, brushing dust from Leila's cheek. It was the kind of scene Nana had imagined in another life, the life he should have had. His throat tightened. As Alice prepared to leave with the girls, Nana stepped forward. She froze when she saw him again. "You shouldn't be here," Alice said quietly. "I know," Nana replied. "But I needed to see you." She studied him warily. "Why?" "Because I couldn't sleep knowing I might walk away again," he said honestly. "And I won't." Alice's expression did not soften. "Promises are easy in the morning. I'm not making promises," Nana said. "I'm asking for time, to understand, to do what I should have done years ago." She looked at him for a long moment, then down at her daughters. "Whatever this is," Alice said, "it must not hurt them." Nana nodded immediately. "Never." It was the smallest agreement, fragile, uncertain, but it was the first step Nana Agyeman had taken in years toward facing the truth. By the third night in the village, Nana Agyeman understood something he had never learned in boardrooms or private jets. Silence could be louder than noise. The house slept early. Even Vanessa had retired to her room without a word, her anger hanging in the air like smoke. Nana remained seated in the courtyard long after the lanterns were dimmed, listening to the night insects and the distant bark of dogs. Every sound seemed to ask him the same question. What are you going to do now? He leaned back in the wooden chair, eyes fixed on the stars. In the city, the sky was never this clear. Here the constellations were sharp, unforgiving. They reminded him of nights long ago when he and Alice used to sit outside counting stars and talking about a future that felt endless, a future he had broken. Sleep came only in fragments. When Nana finally closed his eyes, he saw Leila's steady stare, Mariam's trembling voice, Alice's calm refusal to beg, each image cut deeper than the last. At dawn, Nana rose and dressed quietly. He did not wear a suit today. Instead, he chose simple trousers and a plain shirt, something closer to what he might have worn before wealth had armored him from the world. He needed to feel real again. He walked through the village as the morning woke around him. Women swept their yards. Children chased each other with laughter that made Nana's chest ache. Men gathered near the market talking politics and prices. Life moved forward indifferent to his internal collapse. Alice's house stood near the edge of the village, small, modest, clean despite its age. Nana stopped several steps away. He did not want to barge in. He didn't want to command attention the way he always had. So he waited. Alice came out moments later carrying a basin of water. She stopped short when she saw him. "You again," she said quietly. "I won't stay long," Nana replied. I need to ask something." Alice's grip tightened on the basin. "Ask." Nana hesitated, then spoke. "Have the girls ever been sick?" Alice's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why?" "Please," Nana said. "Just tell me." Alice exhaled slowly. "Mariam has been coughing at night. Leila gets tired easily. But they're children. Children get sick." Nana felt a knot form in his stomach. "Have you taken them to the clinic?" "When I can," Alice replied. "Medicine costs money." The answer was not accusatory. It was factual. That made it worse. "I want to help," Nana said. Alice shook her head immediately. "No, just for their health," he insisted, "not for anything else." She studied his face, searching for manipulation, pride, or control. Whatever she saw there made her pause. "They don't need promises," Alice said. "They need stability." "I understand," Nana replied. "That's why I'm asking, not deciding." A long silence followed. Finally, Alice nodded once. "There's a clinic in the next town. The doctor comes twice a week." "I'll take them," Nana said quickly. Alice stiffened. "I'll go with them." "Of course," Nana said. "Together." That afternoon, Nana returned to the house to find Vanessa waiting for him in the sitting room, her posture rigid, her expression sharp. "You disappeared," she said. "Again." "I went to see Alice," Nana replied honestly. Vanessa stood. "So it's true," she said coldly. "You've chosen her." "I haven't chosen anyone," Nana replied. "I'm choosing responsibility." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "You think responsibility means humiliating me in front of villagers, letting children disrespect me?" "They weren't disrespecting you," Nana said. "They were defending their mother. And what about me?" Vanessa demanded. "What about our future?" Nana looked at her for a long moment. "Our future cannot be built on someone else's suffering." Vanessa's eyes flashed. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe," Nana said. "But it's mine to make." She stared at him, stunned. Then her face hardened. "If you continue down this path," she said, "don't expect me to follow." Nana nodded slowly. "I won't ask you to." Vanessa picked up her bag and walked out without another word. The following morning, Nana drove Alice, Leila, and Mariam to the clinic. The girls were quiet in the back seat, their eyes wide as they took in the unfamiliar sights. Alice sat beside Nana in the front, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "Have you ever been in a car like this?" Nana asked gently, glancing at the girls in the mirror. Leila shook her head. Mariam smiled shyly. When they arrived, the clinic was crowded. Nana waited patiently, resisting the urge to use his influence to skip the line. This was not a place for power, it was a place for humility. When Dr. Samuel Owusu finally called them in, Nana felt his heart pounding. The examination was thorough, too thorough. Dr. Owusu frowned as he reviewed the results. "These girls are undernourished," he said carefully. "And there are signs of anemia, nothing we can't manage, but it should have been addressed earlier." Alice's shoulders sagged. "I did what I could," she whispered. "I know," the doctor replied kindly. Dr. Owusu turned to Nana. "Are you the father?" The question hung heavy in the room. Alice froze. Nana did not hesitate. "I believe I am." The doctor nodded slowly. "I would recommend a full checkup, including genetic tests. Some conditions, especially with twins, are inherited." Nana's pulse thundered in his ears. "Do it," he said. "Whatever it takes." Alice looked at him sharply. "You didn't ask me." Nana met her gaze. "I'm asking now." She studied him, then nodded once. "All right." As the tests were arranged, Nana stepped outside the clinic, his legs unsteady. The weight of anticipation pressed down on him harder than any business risk he had ever faced. Inside the clinic, Alice sat with her daughters holding their hands. Mama Mariam whispered, "Is that man our father?" Alice's breath caught. She looked at her daughters, so innocent, so trusting, and felt the familiar ache rise in her chest. "I don't know yet," she said softly, "but whatever happens, you are loved." Outside, Nana paced the dusty yard, the sun beating down on him. For the first time in his life, Nana Agyeman was not negotiating power, money, or influence. He was waiting for truth. The waiting felt endless. Nana Agyeman sat on a wooden bench outside the clinic, his elbows resting on his knees, his fingers interlocked so tightly his knuckles ached. The sun climbed higher, burning away the morning haze, but the heaviness in his chest did not lift. He had built companies in uncertainty. He had signed contracts knowing one wrong clause could cost millions. Yet none of that compared to this, waiting to hear whether the lives of two little girls were forever tied to his. Inside, Alice sat quietly with Leila and Mariam. She kept her arms around them, feeling their warmth, anchoring herself in the present. She refused to imagine outcomes. Hope had betrayed her before. A familiar tapping sound approached. Nana looked up to see Mame Afua walking slowly toward him, her stick pressing into the earth with steady rhythm. She lowered herself carefully onto the bench beside him, leaving a respectful distance between them. "You look like a man carrying a house on his back," she said. Nana gave a tired smile that did not reach his eyes. "I deserve it." Mame Afua studied his face, then nodded slightly. "Perhaps," she said, "but the weight you carry now is not only punishment, it is responsibility." They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the sounds of the clinic, the low murmur of voices, a baby crying, the shuffle of feet. Nana Mame Afua said finally, "There are things you need to know, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now." Nana swallowed. "I'm listening." She turned her gaze toward the clinic door. "When you left this village, you did not only leave Alice, you left truth behind." He closed his eyes briefly. "I believed she betrayed me." "Yes," Mame Afua said, "because you were meant to." Nana frowned. "What do you mean?" "There were people who feared you," she continued calmly. "Your ambition, your mind, your refusal to accept your place. When rumors started, they were fed, watered, made to grow." Nana's heart began to pound. Mame Afua shook her head. "Names will not heal what has already bled. But know this, Alice never betrayed you. Not in body, not in spirit." The words hit him like a wave. "She tried to follow you the day you left," Mame Afua went on. "She was already sick then, weak. But she walked to the station with the little money she had, hoping to speak to you one last time." Nana's breath caught painfully. "I never saw her, because she collapsed before she reached you," Mame Afua said. "And when she recovered, you were gone." Nana lowered his head, his shoulders shaking once before he could stop himself. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" "Because you didn't ask," Mame Afua replied gently. "And because pride is louder than truth when it wants to be." He wiped his face with the back of his hand, ashamed of the tears he could no longer contain. "She carried my children alone." "Yes," Mame Afua said. "She worked. She begged when she had to. She endured whispers and judgment. But she never spoke your name with bitterness." Nana looked up sharply. "Never, never," the old woman repeated. "She told the girls their father was a good man who had lost his way." The clinic door opened then, and Dr. Samuel Owusu stepped outside, scanning the yard. When his eyes landed on Nana, his expression grew serious. "Mr. Agyeman," he called. Nana stood immediately, his legs unsteady. Alice emerged behind the doctor, her face pale, her eyes searching Nana's. Leila and Mariam followed, holding onto her dress. "The preliminary results are in," Dr. Owusu said. "We'll need final confirmation, but based on genetic markers and blood compatibility, there is an extremely high probability that you are the father." The world tilted. Nana felt the words more than he heard them. He dropped back onto the bench, his chest heaving, his mind racing between relief and devastation. Alice closed her eyes briefly, as if bracing herself against a wind she had long sensed was coming. Leila looked from her mother to Nana. "Does that mean—" she began. Alice knelt in front of her daughters. "It means we are learning the truth," she said softly. "Nothing changes today." But everything had already changed. Nana stood again, this time walking toward Alice with slow, careful steps. He stopped a few feet away, as if afraid to cross an invisible line. "I didn't know," he said hoarsely, "but that will never be my excuse again." Alice looked at him steadily. "Knowing now doesn't erase the years," she replied, "or the nights they cried from hunger, or the mornings I prayed just to survive." "I know," Nana said, "and I will spend the rest of my life trying to make that right." She studied his face, searching for arrogance, control, or pity. What she saw instead unsettled her, regret stripped bare. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," Nana added quickly. "I'm asking you to let me do better." Mariam stepped forward shyly, peering up at him. "If you're our father," she asked quietly, "will you leave too?" The question cut deeper than any accusation. Nana dropped to one knee in front of her, his eyes level with hers. "No," he said firmly. "I won't." Alice inhaled sharply. Leila watched him carefully. "You promise?" "I promise," Nana said. "And I will prove it with my actions, not my words." Silence followed, heavy, uncertain. Mame Afua rose slowly, tapping her stick against the ground. "Promises are seeds," she said. "Whether they grow depends on how they are tended." Nana nodded. "I will tend them." As they prepared to leave the clinic, Vanessa's voice suddenly cut through the air. "So it's true." Everyone turned. Vanessa stood a short distance away, her arms crossed tightly, her face pale with fury and disbelief. She had clearly heard enough. "You have children," she said to Nana, "and you didn't tell me." Nana straightened. "I didn't know, but now you do," Vanessa snapped. "And you're standing here like this is some miracle." "It's not a miracle," Nana replied. "It's a responsibility I ran from." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "So what happens to us?" Nana looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke the words he had been avoiding. "There is no us anymore." Vanessa's eyes widened. "You're choosing her." "I'm choosing my children," Nana said calmly. "And the truth." Vanessa stared at Alice, then at the girls, her expression twisting with anger and wounded pride. Without another word, she turned and walked away. The dust settled slowly after she left. Alice exhaled shakily. "This is only the beginning," she said. Nana nodded. "I know." And for the first time, he did not flinch at the weight of what lay ahead. The rains came that night without warning. Heavy drops hammered the tin roof of Alice's house, turning the earth outside into thick mud. Thunder rolled across the sky loud enough to make the walls tremble. Inside the small room, Alice lay awake, listening to the storm and to Mariam's breathing beside her. It was wrong. Mariam's chest rose too fast. Each breath sounded strained, shallow, as if the air itself had become heavy inside her lungs. Alice sat up immediately and placed a hand on her daughter's forehead. "Hot. Too hot. Mariam," she whispered, shaking her gently. "Wake up, my love." Mariam stirred, her eyelids fluttering open. "Mama," she murmured weakly, her voice barely more than a breath. Alice's heart dropped. Leila woke up at once, sitting bolt upright. "What's wrong?" she asked, fear sharpening her voice. "Mariam is burning," Alice said, already reaching for her worn shawl. "Get your sandals." Outside, the rain showed no mercy. Water streamed down the narrow path as Alice lifted Mariam into her arms. The child felt frighteningly light, her small body limp against her mother's chest. Leila followed closely, her eyes wide but determined. She did not cry. She did not complain. She simply kept walking. By the time they reached the main road, Alice was soaked to the bone, her arms shaking from both cold and panic. The night was empty. No motorbikes, no passing cars. "God, please," Alice whispered, "not like this." Headlights suddenly cut through the rain. A black SUV slowed sharply, its tires splashing water across the road. Nana Agyeman stepped out before the car fully stopped. "Alice," he shouted over the rain. "What happened?" "She's sick," Alice cried, her voice breaking for the first time in years. "I think she can't breathe." One look at Mariam's face was enough. Nana didn't ask questions. He took off his jacket, wrapped it around the child, and ushered them into the car. "Hospital," he said sharply to the driver. "Now!" Leila climbed in beside her mother, clutching Mariam's hand. Alice held her daughter close, rocking slightly, whispering prayers between sobs she could no longer contain. Nana sat in the front seat, his fists clenched so tightly his nails dug into his palms. This was no longer about the past. This was about now. At the hospital, nurses rushed Mariam away the moment they arrived. Alice tried to follow, but her legs gave way and Nana caught her just in time. "She'll be okay," he said, though he did not know if it was true. "She has to be." Hours passed like years. Leila sat silently on a plastic chair, her feet dangling above the floor. Nana crouched in front of her. "You're very brave," he said gently. Leila nodded without looking up. "Mama needs me to be." Nana swallowed hard. Dr. Samuel Owusu emerged just before dawn, his expression serious but controlled. "She has severe pneumonia," he said. "If you'd come any later?" He did not finish the sentence. Alice pressed her hands together, trembling. "Can she be treated?" "Yes," the doctor replied. "But she needs medication monitoring and rest, proper nutrition too." Nana nodded immediately. "Do whatever is needed, anything." Dr. Owusu looked at him carefully. "She'll be admitted." As Mariam was moved to a small ward, Alice followed, refusing to leave her side. Nana stood in the doorway watching as Alice smoothed Mariam's hair and whispered soothing words, her strength somehow returning now that action had replaced fear. Leila climbed onto the bed and curled up beside her sister, holding her hand. Nana's chest tightened painfully. This was what he had missed. Not milestones, not birthdays. Moments like this, raw, terrifying, real. Later that morning, Nana sat with Dr. Owusu in his office. "There's something else," the doctor said carefully. "Given Mariam's condition and Leila's fatigue symptoms, I'd like to do additional tests." Nana nodded. "Do them. These conditions can be worsened by stress and long-term deprivation." Dr. Owusu continued. "But they can also reveal underlying issues that may be inherited." The word echoed in Nana's mind. Inherited. He leaned back slowly. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying." The doctor replied that these children have been surviving on very little for a very long time. Their bodies are strong, but they are at a breaking point. Nana closed his eyes briefly. He thought of the firewood, the bare feet, the way Leila never complained. "I failed them," he said quietly. Dr. Owusu studied him. "What matters now is what you do next." When Nana returned to the ward, he found Alice sitting upright, her eyes red but alert. She looked up as he approached. "She's stable," Nana said softly. Alice nodded. "Thank you. For last night." He shook his head. "You don't owe me thanks." She studied him for a moment. "You didn't have to come." "I know," Nana replied. "That's why I did." Silence settled between them, heavy but different now, less hostile, more cautious. Leila looked up. "Are we going home today?" Alice hesitated. Nana answered gently. "Not today. Mariam needs to get better first." Leila nodded slowly, then looked at him. "Will you go away again?" The question still hurt, but Nana met it without hesitation. "No," he said. "I'm here." Alice watched him closely. She had learned not to trust words, but something in his tone, quiet, steady, unforced, made her pause. Later that afternoon, Nana stepped outside the hospital and made several calls. He spoke to doctors, to suppliers, to people who owed him favors. By evening, arrangements were in motion. A better hospital, a nutrition plan, school enrollment discussions, a safer place for Alice and the girls to stay while Mariam recovered. When Nana returned to the ward, Alice noticed the change immediately. "You're planning?" she said. "Yes," Nana replied, "but I won't force anything. You decide." She looked at her daughters. Mariam sleeping peacefully now, Leila watching over her like a tiny guardian. "Let her get well," Alice said. "That's all I care about right now." Nana nodded. "That's enough." As night fell again, Nana remained seated outside the ward, refusing to leave. Nurses came and went. Lights flickered. Somewhere down the corridor, another child cried. For the first time since he had returned to the village, Nana Agyeman felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not pride, not power, purpose, and he understood with painful clarity that whatever the cost, he would not allow his daughter's life to hang by a thread again. Mariam's condition stabilized after 3 days, but the hospital became a world of waiting. The rain stopped, yet clouds lingered heavy and gray as if the sky itself refused to move on too quickly. Nana Agyeman slept in a chair outside the ward each night, his back stiff, his mind restless. He refused to return to the city. Calls from his office went unanswered or were dismissed with brief instructions. For the first time in years, Nana's empire ran without him at the center. Inside the ward, Alice watched over Mariam with tireless devotion. She measured breaths, she counted heartbeats, she whispered stories about strong girls who survived storms and learned to laugh again. Leila rarely left her sister's side, her small hand always reaching for Mariam's fingers as if afraid the moment she let go, the world might steal her away. On the 4th morning, Dr. Samuel Owusu asked to see Nana privately. They stood in the narrow hallway outside the lab where the smell of disinfectant mixed with the faint scent of rain-soaked earth drifting in from an open window. "The final results are ready," the doctor said. Nana's chest tightened. "Tell me." Dr. Owusu did not soften his tone. "The DNA test confirms it. Leila and Mariam are your daughters." The words landed quietly, without thunder, without ceremony, but they shook Nana to his core. For a long moment he said nothing. His mind replayed years of missed moments, first steps he never saw, first words he never heard, nights of hunger he never felt. All of it pressed down on him at once. "I understand," Nana said at last, his voice hoarse. "There's more," Dr. Owusu added carefully. "Mariam's pneumonia revealed an underlying weakness in her lungs. It can be managed, but she'll need consistent care, regular checkups, a stable environment." Nana nodded immediately. "She'll have it." The doctor studied him. "Children don't just need money, Mr. Agyeman. They need presence." Nana met his gaze. "I know." When Nana returned to the ward, Alice was standing by the window looking out at the yard below. Leila sat on the bed beside Mariam, braiding her sister's hair with careful fingers. "It's confirmed," Nana said softly. Alice turned slowly. Her face did not change much, but her eyes glistened. "So it's true," she said. "Yes." She inhaled deeply, then exhaled. "I always knew," she admitted, "but knowing and hearing it spoken out loud are different things." Nana stepped closer. "I want to do this right." Alice did not respond immediately. She walked back to the bed and smoothed Mariam's blanket. "Doing it right," she said quietly, "means understanding that you don't get to rewrite the past just because you're ready now." "I know," Nana replied. "I don't want to erase what happened. I want to take responsibility for what happens next." Leila looked up at him. "Does this mean you're really our father?" Nana knelt in front of her. "Yes," he said. "It does." Leila studied his face with the seriousness only children possessed. "Then why did you leave?" The question hit harder than any accusation Alice could have made. Nana swallowed. "Because I was afraid," he said honestly, "and because I believed a lie instead of the people I loved." Leila nodded slowly, as if filing the answer away. "Are you afraid now?" Nana shook his head. "No." "Good," Leila said simply. "Because we're already afraid enough sometimes." Alice closed her eyes briefly. That afternoon, Nana arranged for Alice and the girls to be moved to a better facility in the regional capital once Mariam was strong enough. He did not present it as an order. He asked. Alice hesitated. "This feels like too much," she said. "I don't want to owe you." "You don't owe me anything," Nana replied. "I owe you everything." She looked at him carefully. "If I say no, then I will respect it," he said. "And I'll find another way to help that doesn't take your dignity." That word dignity made Alice pause. She had learned to guard hers fiercely. Poverty had taught her that. "I'll consider it," she said at last. Outside the ward, Nana found Vanessa waiting. She stood rigid, her arms crossed, her eyes red from lack of sleep or anger, perhaps both. "So this is it," she said. "You've decided." Nana did not pretend not to understand. "Yes, you're throwing everything away," Vanessa snapped. "Our engagement, our plans were built on ignorance," Nana replied calmly. "I won't build a future on that." She laughed bitterly. "So you'll play father now?" "After all these years, I will be a father," Nana said. "Not a performance, a responsibility." Vanessa's voice dropped. "And what about me?" Nana's gaze softened, but his resolve did not waver. "You deserve someone who can give you everything without hesitation." "That person isn't me." She stared at him, her pride cracking. "You'll regret this," maybe Nana said. "But I would regret walking away more." Vanessa turned and left without another word. That evening, Nana sat with Alice outside the ward as the sun dipped below the horizon. The air cooled, carrying the scent of wet soil and distant cooking fires. "I don't know how to trust you," Alice said quietly. "I don't expect you to," Nana replied. "Trust isn't a request, it's earned." She studied him. "Then earn it." "I will," he said. Inside, Mariam stirred and opened her eyes. "Mama," she whispered. Alice rushed to her side. "I'm here." Mariam smiled faintly. Her gaze drifted to Nana. "Are you staying?" Nana stepped closer. "Yes," he said. "I'm staying." Mariam closed her eyes again, reassured. As night settled, Nana remained seated beside the bed, listening to the slow rhythm of his daughter's breathing. He felt fear, regret, and hope all at once, emotions he had long buried beneath ambition. For the first time, Nana Agyeman understood that wealth could not undo absence. Only presence could. The days that followed felt heavier than the storm that had nearly taken Mariam's life. Mariam recovered slowly. Her fever broke, her breathing steadied, and color returned to her cheeks. But Alice did not relax, not even for a moment. She slept lightly in the chair beside the bed, waking at every sound, every shift in her daughter's breath. Leila stayed close, reading to her sister in a soft voice, her small finger tracing the words as if anchoring Mariam to the world. Nana remained there too, not hovering, not commanding, just present. He brought food when Alice forgot to eat. He carried water without being asked. When nurses spoke quickly or impatiently, he listened carefully and asked questions, then explained everything to Alice in plain words, making sure she felt included, not managed. Still, Alice kept a careful distance. She spoke to him when necessary. She thanked him when appropriate, but her eyes never fully softened. Years of survival had taught her that kindness could disappear without warning. On the fifth evening, Nana asked if they could talk. "Not here," Alice said quietly, glancing at Mariam sleeping. "Outside." They walked to the small courtyard behind the hospital. The air was cool. The sky streaked with orange and purple as the sun dipped low. Nana waited until Alice sat on the bench before he spoke. "I owe you an apology," he said. Alice did not respond. Nana took a breath. "Not the kind people say to feel better about themselves," he continued. "The kind that accepts consequences." She folded her arms loosely, bracing herself. "I was wrong," Nana said. "I believed lies because they protected my pride. I abandoned you when you were vulnerable. I left you to carry everything alone." His voice wavered slightly, but he didn't stop. "I know saying I didn't know doesn't change the nights you went hungry, or the days you worked until your body ached, or the fear you felt bringing our daughters into the world without support." Alice's jaw tightened. "I robbed you of choice," Nana said. "And I robbed them of a father." Silence stretched between them. Then Alice spoke. "You didn't just leave," she said softly. "You erased me." The words landed heavier than any accusation. "I stood in front of you," she went on, her voice steady but trembling beneath the surface. "I begged you to listen. You didn't. You chose to believe I was nothing." Nana bowed his head. "I know." "No," Alice corrected gently. "You don't. Knowing is not remembering what it feels like to be hungry while pregnant, or listening to your children cry and having nothing to give them but words." Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. "I learned to survive without you," she continued. "I buried the part of me that hoped you'd come back, because hope was dangerous." Nana swallowed hard. "I'm not asking you to unbury it," he said. "I'm asking you to let me stand beside you now." Alice looked at him for a long moment. "Why?" The question caught him off guard. Why now, she pressed. "Because you saw us carrying firewood. Because people were watching, or because guilt finally found you." Nana met her gaze. "Because my daughters almost died," he said quietly. "And because I finally saw the truth I ran from." She searched his face, measuring his words against his actions. "And if I say no," Alice asked. "If I decide we don't need you," Nana did not hesitate, "then I will respect that. I will still support them. I will still be accountable. But I will not force my way into your life." Alice studied him closely. "Men like you are not used to hearing no." "I'm learning," Nana replied. A long silence followed. Then Alice stood. She did not turn away. Instead, she faced him fully. "You can help," she said, "but on my terms. Nana nodded immediately. Tell me. No sudden moves, Alice said. No decisions made over our heads, no promises you can't keep, agreed, Nana said. And you don't get to play hero, she added firmly. These girls don't need saving. They need stability. Nana felt a sharp ache in his chest. You're right. Alice hesitated, then continued. They will not move into your world overnight. Not the city, not the cameras, not the comfort. I won't rush them, Nana said. And you don't get to buy their love, Alice finished. They will decide who you are to them. Nana straightened. I wouldn't want it any other way. Alice studied him for a final moment. Then slowly she sat back down. I don't forgive you, she said. Nana nodded. I understand. But she continued. I won't stop you from trying. The word trying echoed louder than forgiveness ever could. Later that night, Nana returned to the ward and found Leila sitting awake beside Mariam's bed. You should be sleeping, he said gently. Leila shrugged. I was thinking. About what? She glanced at him. About you. Nana smiled faintly. That sounds dangerous. Leila didn't smile back. Mama says you're trying to do better. Yes, Nana said. I am. Leila studied his face. Trying is not the same as staying. Nana's chest tightened. You're right. So will you stay? She asked. Nana sat down on the edge of the bed. As long as you'll let me. Leila considered this carefully. If you lie, she said, we'll know. Nana nodded. I know. She reached out and placed her small hand over his. Then don't. It was not forgiveness, but it was something close to trust. When Alice returned and saw them like that, Leila half asleep, Nana sitting quietly beside the bed, something inside her shifted. Not hope, not yet, but a crack. And through that crack, something fragile and unfamiliar began to breathe. Vanessa returned 3 days later. She arrived without warning, her car stopping sharply at the front of the hospital, just as the afternoon heat began to fade. Her appearance alone drew attention. Heels clicking, sunglasses, dark posture rigid with restrained fury. She had not come to reconcile. She had come to confront. Nana was outside the ward when he saw her. For a brief second, he considered walking away. But running had already cost him too much. Vanessa, he said calmly. She removed her sunglasses slowly. Her eyes were sharp-rimmed with exhaustion and anger. So this is where you've been hiding, she replied. Playing family. Nana did not rise to the insult. Mariam is still recovering. Vanessa scoffed. How touching. Alice heard the voices from inside the ward. Her shoulders tensed. She rose quietly, stepping out just as Vanessa turned and saw her. There was no hesitation this time. So you finally show your face, Vanessa said coldly. Enjoying the attention, Alice's gaze remained steady. This is a hospital, she replied. If you're here to fight, do it somewhere else. Vanessa laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. You really think you have the right to speak to me? Before Alice could answer, Nana stepped between them. That's enough, he said firmly. This ends now. Vanessa's eyes flashed. Ends, you don't get to decide that alone. I do, Nana replied. Because this concerns my children. The word landed like a slap. Vanessa stared at him. Your children, she repeated. So that's it. Years of planning, introductions, promises, and you throw it all away for this. For the truth, Nana said. And for responsibility. Vanessa's composure cracked. Responsibility, she spat. You didn't even know they existed. That was my failure, Nana replied. And I won't repeat it. Vanessa turned her gaze on Alice, her expression twisting. You planned this, she accused. You waited until he was successful. Until he was visible. Alice inhaled slowly, steadying herself. I waited for nothing, she said. I survived. Vanessa stepped closer. You think playing the poor victim makes you noble. Leila's voice cut through the tension. Stop talking to my mama like that. Everyone froze. Leila stood in the doorway, her small frame rigid, her eyes blazing with a courage far older than her years. Mariam stood behind her, clutching the doorframe, pale but alert. Alice rushed forward. Leila. It's okay, Mama, Leila said, not turning around. She's being mean. Vanessa stared at the child in disbelief. This is unbelievable, she muttered. You're letting children insult me now. They're telling the truth, Nana said quietly. Vanessa laughed again, but there was panic beneath it now. You think this ends well? She demanded. You think bringing them into your world won't destroy everything you've built? Nana's expression hardened. If my world can't survive the truth, then it deserves to fall. That silenced her. For a moment the corridor hummed with distant footsteps and muffled voices. Vanessa looked around, suddenly aware that people were watching. She straightened her shoulders. "Fine," she said coldly. "Choose them." "I am," Nana replied. Vanessa's gaze lingered on Alice one last time. "Enjoy this," she said quietly. "But don't forget, men like him don't change. They just change costumes." With that, she turned and walked away, her heels echoing sharply down the corridor until the sound disappeared. The silence she left behind felt different, lighter, but fragile. Alice exhaled shakily. Her knees felt weak, but she remained standing. "I didn't want them to see that," she said softly, glancing at her daughters. Nana knelt in front of Leila and Mariam. "You were very brave," he said, "but next time let the adults handle it." Leila lifted her chin. "Adults don't always protect the people they're supposed to." The words struck deep. Nana nodded. "You're right," he said, "and I'm sorry." That evening, as the sun dipped low and the hospital settled into its quieter hours, Nana gathered Alice and the girls in the small visitors' lounge. "I need to tell you something," he said. Alice stiffened slightly. "What is it?" "I've ended the engagement," Nana said simply. "Completely." Alice studied him, searching for hesitation. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because it affects you," Nana replied, "and because I don't want secrets between us anymore." Alice nodded slowly. "I didn't ask you to do that." "I know," Nana said. "I did it because I won't build a future on denial." Leila glanced between them. "Does that mean she won't shout anymore?" Nana smiled faintly. "Yes." Mariam stepped closer to him. "Are you still staying?" "Yes," Nana said gently. "I'm staying." That night, Nana made another choice, one quieter but just as important. He declined an urgent call from his board. For the first time, business could wait. Alice watched him from across the room, noticing the way he moved differently now, less hurried, less guarded. She did not mistake change for redemption, but she could not deny effort. Later, when the girls slept, Alice and Nana stood by the window overlooking the dimly lit yard. "This won't be easy," Alice said. "I know," Nana replied. "There will be gossip," she continued. "Judgment. People will say I trapped you." "I don't care," Nana said. She turned to him. "You should." "I don't," he repeated. "What matters is what my daughters learn from watching me now." Alice looked away, her throat tight. "They've already learned too much." "Then let me teach them something better," Nana said softly. She did not answer. But she did not walk away either. Outside, the night settled gently over the hospital, carrying away the echoes of confrontation. The mask had fallen. The choices had been made, and for the first time since Nana Agyeman returned to the village, there was no one left to blame but himself. Change did not arrive with applause or sudden miracles. It came quietly disguised as routine. After Mariam was discharged, Nana did not move Alice and the girls into a hotel or a mansion, despite the many suggestions offered by well-meaning staff and distant relatives. Instead, he rented a modest house near the clinic, clean, safe, close enough for regular checkups, far enough from the village to give Alice breathing room. "It's temporary," Nana said, handing Alice the keys without ceremony. "Only until Mariam is stronger." Alice accepted them slowly. "Temporary," she repeated. "That matters." Nana nodded. "Everything does." The first morning in the new place felt strange. There was electricity that did not flicker, clean water that ran when you turned the tap, beds that didn't creak under the weight of exhaustion. Alice moved carefully through the rooms, touching walls, opening cupboards, grounding herself in the reality of it. Leila and Mariam explored quietly, their excitement contained as if too much joy might break something. Mama, Mariam whispered, peering into the small kitchen, "Are we allowed to use this?" Alice smiled sadly. "Yes, my love, we are allowed." Nana watched from the doorway, resisting the urge to instruct, to arrange, to control. He had learned slowly that help did not mean takeover. He showed up every morning, not with grand gestures, but with consistency. He drove the girls to follow-up appointments. He waited in lines. He listened when nurses explained things Alice already knew and nodded when she corrected them. When Leila struggled with reading, he sat beside her and followed her pace. When Mariam tired easily, he learned how to rest with her instead of pushing forward. Alice noticed everything. She noticed how Nana asked before acting, how he never entered the house without greeting her, how he did not raise his voice even when stressed calls from the city began piling up. One evening, as the girls colored quietly at the table, Alice finally spoke what had been weighing on her. "You're changing your life," she said. Nana looked up. "Yes." "For us," she added. "For them," Nana replied gently. "And for me." She folded her hands. "I don't want you to resent us later. I won't," Nana said without hesitation. "You don't know that," Alice replied. "Sacrifice feels noble until it becomes heavy." Nana considered her words carefully. "Then I'll learn how to carry it," he said, "not as a burden, as a responsibility." Alice studied him for a long moment. "Responsibility can't be proven in weeks." "I know," Nana said. "That's why I'm here for the long road." The long road tested him quickly. Back in the city, shareholders began to murmur. Meetings were postponed. A deal slipped. Advisors questioned his absence. Nana listened, weighed the consequences, and delegated something he had never truly done before. For the first time, he trusted others to handle what he once controlled alone. One afternoon, Nana returned to the house to find Alice sitting on the floor with the girls sorting school forms. "School?" he asked. Alice looked up. "I found a public school nearby. It's not perfect, but it's honest." Nana nodded. "I'll go with you tomorrow." Alice shook her head. "I'll handle it." He paused. "All right." That answer, "all right," meant more than she expected. At school registration, Alice stood alone answering questions, signing forms, asserting herself. Nana waited outside, pacing slightly, fighting the instinct to intervene. When Alice emerged, papers in hand, she looked tired but satisfied. "It's done," she said. Nana smiled. "I'm proud of you." She hesitated. "I didn't do it for you." "I know," he replied. "That's why I mean it." The girls started school the following week. Leila adapted quickly, her curiosity lighting up the classroom. Mariam struggled at first, growing tired before noon, but her teachers adjusted gently, allowing rest without shame. Each afternoon, Nana waited outside the gate, not in a luxury car, but on foot. He wanted to be visible in the simplest way. Children whispered. Parents watched, some with curiosity, some with judgment. Alice felt the stares, the questions forming behind polite smiles. Is that their father? Why now? What does he want? She ignored them. One evening after the girls fell asleep, Alice found Nana sitting alone on the small porch, staring into the dark. "You look exhausted," she said. "I am," Nana admitted, "but not in a bad way." She sat beside him, keeping a careful distance. "You don't have to do this every day." "I want to," he replied. Silence stretched between them. Then Alice spoke softly. "I need to ask something difficult." Nana turned toward her. "Ask." "If the world turns against us," she said, "if your reputation suffers, if people question your decisions, will you still stay?" Nana did not answer immediately. "I can't promise that it will be easy," he said slowly, "or that I won't make mistakes, but I can promise that I won't disappear again." Alice closed her eyes briefly. "That's all I need to hear." Days became weeks. Mariam grew stronger. Leila laughed more freely. Alice slept deeper than she had in years, though some nights old fears still crept in. And Nana learned patience. He learned how to wait without controlling outcomes, how to apologize without defending himself, how to listen without planning his response. One afternoon, as the girls played in the yard, Alice watched Nana help Mariam tie her shoelaces. "Not too tight," Mariam said seriously. Nana smiled. "Got it." Alice felt something loosen in her chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but trust, thin, fragile, and growing. She stepped outside. "Dinner's almost ready." Nana looked up. "Do you want help?" "Yes," she said. He followed her into the kitchen, rolling up his sleeves without being asked. It wasn't a grand moment. No declarations, no promises, just two people learning how to exist in the same space again, carefully, honestly, without pretending the past hadn't happened. And for the first time since Nana Agyeman returned to the village road, the future did not feel like a threat. It felt like work, meaningful, difficult, necessary work. The first time Leila called him Daddy, Nana did not respond. Not because he didn't hear her, but because he was afraid that if he moved, spoke, or even breathed too loudly, the moment might disappear. They were at the small playground near the school, the afternoon sun low and warm. Mariam sat on a bench beside Alice, sipping water, her legs swinging gently. Nana stood a few steps away, watching Leila climb the metal ladder with careful determination. "Daddy," Leila called out suddenly, her voice clear and unforced. "Can you hold this?" She stretched her hand toward him, offering a small plastic bottle cap she had found on the ground, proud as if it were treasure. Nana's chest tightened. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Leila frowned. "Did you hear me?" Alice looked up sharply. Nana swallowed, then stepped forward slowly. "Yes," he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "I heard you." He took the bottle cap gently from her hand. Leila smiled satisfied and returned to her climbing. Alice watched him carefully, her heart pounding. She had known this day would come, but knowing did not make it easier. That night, after the girls were asleep, Alice and Nana sat at opposite ends of the small living room. The television hummed quietly in the background, forgotten. "She called you Daddy," Alice said at last. Nana nodded. "I didn't encourage it." "I know," Alice replied. Silence stretched between them, thick with meaning. "I don't want them to feel confused," Alice continued, "or pressured." "I don't either," Nana said. "If it happens, it should happen because they feel safe." Alice studied his face. "Do you?" Nana met her gaze. "Every day." She exhaled slowly. "Then we take it one step at a time." The following weeks tested that promise. Mariam had a setback, a night of coughing that sent Alice's fear spiraling back to the surface. Nana drove them to the clinic without hesitation, stayed through the night, and asked questions until dawn. When the doctor assured them it was temporary, Alice finally allowed herself to cry quietly in the hallway, her face turned away. Nana did not try to stop her tears. He simply stood beside her present. At school, Leila faced teasing from other children. "Your father just showed up," one boy said, cruelly. Where was he before Leila came home angry and confused, slamming her school bag onto the floor? "Why didn't you tell me what to say?" she demanded. Alice knelt in front of her. "You don't owe anyone explanations," she said firmly. Nana crouched beside them. "But if you want one," he added gently, "you can say I made mistakes, and I'm fixing them." Leila studied him. "Are you?" "Yes," Nana replied. "Every day." Leila nodded slowly. "Then I'll say that." Alice felt a tightness in her chest, not pain this time, but something closer to relief. As weeks turned into months, routines formed. Nana adjusted his work schedule permanently. He declined international travel. He moved meetings online. Some investors complained, others threatened. Nana listened, then made his choice. When one executive asked if his personal situation was affecting his judgment, Nana replied calmly, "It's improving it." At home, Alice slowly allowed Nana more space. She let him attend school meetings. She accepted his help with homework. She even trusted him to stay with the girls alone while she went to the market, something she had not done with anyone in years. One evening, Alice returned to find Mariam asleep on Nana's chest, her small hand curled into his shirt. Leila lay beside them, reading quietly. For a moment, Alice just stood there watching. Nana looked up, startled. "She fell asleep," he whispered. Alice nodded. "She does that." He smiled faintly. "I know." That night, after tucking the girls in, Alice lingered in the doorway. "They're getting attached," she said quietly. "I won't disappear," Nana replied. Alice hesitated. "I'm not just talking about them." Nana's heart skipped. She crossed the room and sat on the edge of the couch. "I don't trust easily," she said. "And I won't pretend I'm not afraid." "I wouldn't ask you to pretend," Nana said softly. She looked at him fully then. "If this is going to work, it has to be honest." "It will be," Nana said, "even when it's uncomfortable." Alice nodded. "Especially then." The next day, Nana invited Mam Efua to visit. The old woman arrived slowly, her walking stick tapping against the floor. As she surveyed the house, the children's drawings on the walls, the smell of food in the air. "You look different," she said to Nana. "I am," he replied. She turned to Alice. "And you?" Alice smiled faintly. "Still learning." Mame Efua nodded approvingly. "Good." She watched Nana help Mariam with her shoes, listened as Leila read aloud, and finally spoke. "You cannot erase what you did," she said to Nana, "but you can decide what they remember next." "I understand," Nana said. Mame Efua turned to Alice. "And you cannot protect your heart forever," she added gently, "but you can choose who is allowed to try." Alice met her gaze. "I'm choosing carefully." One quiet Sunday afternoon, Nana stood in the kitchen washing dishes while Alice prepared dinner. Without looking up, she said, "You don't have to do that." "I want to," Nana replied. She smiled slightly. "You always say that now." "It's true," he said. She paused, then asked softly, "Do you ever regret coming back?" Nana turned off the tap and faced her. "Every day," he said honestly, "I regret not coming back sooner." Alice studied him, then nodded. "That's the right answer." That evening, the four of them sat together at the table, simple food, shared laughter, no tension. Leila raised her cup. To family, she declared. Mariam giggled. To Daddy, she added shyly. Nana froze again, but this time he smiled. Alice watched him carefully, then lifted her cup too. To trying, she said. The glasses clinked softly. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something harder, something earned. The last bundle of firewood Alice ever carried was not the heaviest. It was simply the most symbolic. It happened on a quiet morning when the sky was clear and the air smelled of fresh earth after light rain. Alice had traveled back to the village with the girls to visit Mame Afua, partly out of respect, partly because a part of her still needed to face where she had been broken without fear. Nana came too, driving slowly, not in a convoy, not with bodyguards, just the four of them in one car. He had learned that humility did not need witnesses. When they arrived, Mame Afua sat outside her home sorting dried leaves for soup. She looked up and smiled with her whole face when she saw the children run toward her. Mame Mariam shouted, throwing herself into the old woman's lap. Leila followed, hugging gently as if mindful of the elder's age. Mame Afua's eyes softened as she looked at Alice. You came back. Alice nodded. I wanted them to see where we came from. And you, Ma'ame Afua, asked Nana. I came to remember, Nana replied. So I never repeat my foolishness, the old woman grunted approvingly. Good. Inside the village, word spread quickly. People noticed Nana. Some greeted him with cautious respect. Others watched from a distance, whispering about money shame, and the woman who used to carry wood now arriving in a car. Alice felt the stares, but she held her head high. She had survived their gossip before. She would not be owned by it now. Later that afternoon, while the girls played nearby, Alice stepped behind Mama Fua's house to collect a few dry branches for the evening fire out of habit more than necessity. Nana followed without speaking. When Alice lifted a small bundle, Nana gently reached for it. No, Alice said instinctively, tightening her grip. I'm not taking it because you're weak, Nana replied softly. I'm taking it because you shouldn't have carried it alone all these years. Alice stared at him, her throat tightening. For a moment she wanted to argue, wanted to defend the strength she had built through suffering. But then she realized something. Letting him help did not erase her strength. It honored it. Slowly, Alice released the bundle. Nana carried it back toward the yard. His shoulders squared, his steps steady. Villagers saw. Whispers rose again, but this time the whispers didn't matter. When he returned, Leila looked up. Mama doesn't carry wood anymore, she declared proudly. Mariam clapped. Never again. Alice laughed softly, surprised by the sound of it, light, free, unfamiliar. Nana smiled too, and for a moment the world felt simple. That evening, as the sun began to set, Nana asked Mame Afua for a private moment. They sat under a tree near the edge of the compound where the last sunlight filtered through leaves. I want to do something, Nana said. Mame Afua raised an eyebrow. If it is another grand gesture, keep it. Nana smiled faintly. Not grand, just right. He took a breath. I want to build a clinic here. Not a flashy building, something functional. And a scholarship fund for children in the village, especially girls. Mame Afua studied him for a long moment. Why? Nana's gaze shifted toward Alice and the girls in the yard. Because I learned too late what survival costs, he said, and because I don't want anyone else's child to carry burdens that adults should carry. The old woman nodded slowly. That is not charity, she said. That is repayment. Yes, Nana replied. And it will not replace what I took from Alice, but it will honor what she endured. Ma'ame Afua's expression softened. Then do it quietly, she said, and do it consistently. I will, Nana promised. That night, back in the modest house near the clinic, the family moved with a familiar rhythm. Alice cooked while Nana helped Mariam with a breathing exercise Dr. Owusu had taught them. Leila read aloud at the table, her voice confident now, her words flowing without fear. When dinner was ready, Alice called. Food is ready. The four of them sat together. For a moment no one spoke. Nana looked at the girls, healthy, laughing, arguing gently over who got the last piece of plantain. He looked at Alice, tired. Yes, but no longer hollow. There was warmth in her eyes now, even if it still lived behind caution. He cleared his throat. Alice, he said quietly. She looked up. Yes. Nana's hands trembled slightly, not from fear of rejection, but from the weight of meaning. I cannot undo the years, he said, and I will not insult you by asking you to forget them. But I want to ask you something that is not about the past, but about what we build next. Alice's heart began to pound. Leila and Mariam looked up, too suddenly alert. Nana continued, his voice steady. Will you allow me to be your partner, not your rescuer, not your boss, not your apology, but your partner in raising them, in honoring you, in building a home that feels safe? Alice stared at him for a long moment. Then she spoke slowly. Partnership means you don't get to lead alone, she said. I don't want to, Nana replied. It means I will speak up, Alice said. I will say no when something is wrong. I need that, Nana said. It means the girls come first, Alice added. They always will, Nana replied. Alice's eyes glistened. She inhaled deeply, then exhaled. Yes, she said softly. I will allow it, Leila squealed. Mama said yes. Mariam clapped her hands. Daddy is staying forever. Nana laughed, the sound full and unguarded, and pulled both girls into his arms. Alice watched them, her heart aching not from pain this time, but from the strange, overwhelming feeling of something returning to life inside her. Later that night, after the girls slept, Nana and Alice stood outside under the stars. I'm still afraid, Alice admitted. Nana nodded. So am I. Alice looked at him. Then we'll be afraid together. Nana reached for her hand carefully, giving her space to pull away. She didn't. Their fingers intertwined, not as a fairy tale, not as a perfect ending, but as two people choosing to do the hard work of love with open eyes. In the distance, the village rested quietly, and somewhere inside that quiet, the old life that once revolved around firewood and hunger finally released its grip. Because sometimes the greatest miracle isn't sudden wealth. It's a man returning not with money alone, but with accountability. In life, not every mistake is made out of cruelty. Some are born from fear, pride, and the refusal to listen. Nana's story reminds us that success without accountability is hollow, and love without responsibility is fragile. Wealth can build houses, but it cannot rebuild trust. Only presence can do that. Alice teaches us another truth. Strength is not loud. It is quiet endurance. It is choosing dignity when bitterness would be easier. It is protecting your children even when your own heart is breaking. She did not wait to be saved. She survived. She raised. She loved. And when the chance for healing came, she did not rush it. She chose carefully, wisely, bravely. This story is not about a billionaire who returned with money. It is about a man who returned with humility. It is about children who taught adults what courage looks like. And it is about the power of facing the past, not to erase it, but to take responsibility for what comes next. Sometimes life doesn't give us a second chance to fix our mistakes. But when it does, it demands something far greater than regret. It demands consistency, patience, and action. If this story moved, you take a moment to reflect, what would accountability look like in your own life? And if someone came back changed, would you allow them to try? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might inspire someone who needs hope today. And if you believe stories like this matter, stories about growth, forgiveness, and real human change, please subscribe to the channel. You're always welcome here.